Greetings, podcast listeners. In this special episode, I am joined by my best friend, Ashley. I have edited the episode to improve the quality, however, it is unscripted, and the microphone quality may be lower than usual episodes. I hope you enjoy this special episode of my podcast. Today we're going to be talking about biphobia and homophobia and some other stuff. This is an unscripted episode.
So it's gonna be less of Robin informing you and more of you listening to us talk. First I'm gonna say I'm bi. It's kinda unfair because a lot of people they think like being bi isn't a phase, honestly. And it's really hard getting so much like discrimination, saying, oh, you're basically straight, or you're basically gay, or you're doing it for attention when you're not, because it gets hard, because it gets to the point where you start to doubt your own sexuality yourself every time you fall for like the opposite gender. So then you're like, wait, am I ever just actually straight, or was it actually a phase? Or even getting shunned by the LGBT community by saying, oh, she or he's on their way to like gayness. And, like, some people are, I know, but, like, some people are, but you can't just generalize, because, like, it's not as difficult, or when people say it's not as difficult, because, oh, you can choose to fall for guys as well, that's air quotes, and that's not true, because it's actually more difficult, because every time you choose the opposite gender, you start to doubt yourself. And I'm also kind of like angry some people from both the LGBT and the straight community don't take bisexuality or pansexuality seriously, because it really is valid and it really does exist. Not to mention, men fetishize it in bed or brag, my girlfriend's bi or my boyfriend's bi. They show it off like a prize, like, oh, she can do a threesome. They make us seem like sexual deviants when we're really not. And in the past, even TV or like shows made bisexuals seem like whores or like evil, like femme fatales, when in reality we kind of just exist, you know. So it's good that they're starting to open their eyes.
Yeah, you said about how it's not as easy to find guys and girls as well, but then there's also that element as people see bisexuality as homosexuality as well. Mm-hmm. So it's like they have the same discrimination. So people can be biphobic, like even if you're trying to date someone, then they could be biphobic and they won't want to date you because of that.
Exactly. So it's like, you know that like joke where it's like, oh, so you're bisexual, and which means you like both genders and yet you're still single. You know that meme?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get where it's coming from, but in a way it's like, okay, there's like a very small percentage, well actually not really, they're starting to open their eyes, but some gay people might be like, oh, you're bisexual, oh, you're a cheater, I don't like you, you know? Or if you're straight, they might be like, oh, you're bisexual, oh, you might like women, I don't want you. Or they might be like, threesome, maybe? No. We're not like that. We really aren't. We're just normal people, you know? And we're actually pretty loyal. Actually, it depends on the person, if you're a boy, you're a boy. But, like, not all of us are. And we're just normal people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, before when I still didn't understand my sexuality, I was actually thinking I was bisexual, and I was speaking to my friend about it, and I asked him what he would think if like his girlfriend was bisexual, and it really irritated me because he was saying like, he thought it was weird when someone you're dating also dates the same gender, and he was saying it like how unnatural that they thought it was, and I just couldn't understand, like, He's like a science student, and if you look at science, right, in nature, there's homosexuality, there's bisexuality. It's been observed, like, there's this penguin couple.
Penguin couple?
Yeah, there's a gay penguin couple in a zoo.
One, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen about it. Animals in nature, they observe, like, the same homosexual tendencies, mm-hmm. and bisexuality in nature just as humans do. And there's even certain species that they have feminine and masculine sides to the same, like...
Did you know, actually, that in Japan, mm-hmm. like really old Japan, there were 3 genders? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like a young man counted as a woman, mm-hmm. for some other older men do it. But then as the young man grew up, then he would date women. So that's just bisexuality in a way. But there's like kind of forced bisexuality because it's based on their age, so they have to date one, and when they grow up older, they have to date the other. But I guess in a way, bisexual people and pansexual people, they could be kind of fed up because we're kind of in the middle. So we could be shunned by straight people because they're like, oh, just be gay. We could be shunned by gay people thinking, oh, just be straight, you don't fully know our struggle. But it's even worse to be in the middle because then you don't have real community that fully accepts you, like everyone. I mean, there are people who really accept, and that's like really nice. And it's good that it's growing, but it is how it is, you know. But like I was looking at that show, right? And they were like talking about those three genders. And I was like, it's so disgusting. Like, it's so disgusting. At this point, it's not bisexuality or anything. It's just pedophilia. That old, like, basically, if you're a young man, right? And let's say there was a really old man too, right? The old man would like fall in love with the young man and try to get them to do sexual activity and like penetrate the young man's.
And this is underage.
These little boys would be from 6 to 14 years
Yeah.
old. And they were counted prettier than women because of their young faces and their high voices. And apparently the younger man, actually the younger boy should not get erect at all. He shouldn't have any pleasure, and they should be doing it out of duty. So it should be for the older men's pleasure only. And I just find that so disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, what you're describing, it sounds like rape.
Yeah.
Because it's not consent.
No.
At that age, 6 to 14.
No, they have consent.
But at the age of 6 to 14, is that really consent? Do they understand what they're entering
they don't
into?
know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But at the time, everyone in society was like this. So even the parents thought it was normal, and they thought it was normal. So I guess they did have consent. And technically, if the young man didn't like the old man, let's say, oh, you're this sugar daddy, I don't like his nose, it's not my type. This other older man is better looking. They can reject the older guy. But they have to pick the older guy.
Oh.
But they cannot have any pleasure out of it. And like the women, right? The women themselves can date the younger men too. Like the 6-year-old boys. And they can date the old men. It's very weird. It was a very weird system.
I just want to go back as well. You talked about the third gender. Historically, even in Africa, they had the third gender.
Really?
But that was prior to the British, and the colonialism by European powers. Because there was, the belief that gender was, there wasn't really male or female, you just gave off a masculine or a feminine energy. So it wasn't necessarily based on what genitals you had. It was just the energy that you gave off. But then when the British came in and the French, they, criminalized being a third gender, so it was basically made into a binary system of male and female. And to this day, most of the countries in Africa and previous colonies of Britain and France and other European nations, they don't have those rights of a third gender either.
If I'm being honest, I feel like people who aren't white, back then, I feel like Asia or Africa or Brazil or people who actually even Native Americans, people who weren't the colonizers in Europe, they all were very open-minded and spiritual, and they believed in all this. But then once the colonizers came, they all changed.
Exactly, that's true. Basically, that's true.
So it's they had culture, and then the culture died.
Yeah, I need to check what country he was the leader of, but there was a President, Robert Mugabe. He basically said that homosexuality was a Western import to African nations, but in fact,
what?
Western countries brought in homophobia to the African countries because they had same-sex unions historically. Same-sex unions were very common in Africa. I
think what you're saying is true, but
yeah,
that leader is not correct.
Yes.
Did you know? I found out that pirates, a lot of them were gay.
Yeah. That's
a
true.
lot of pirates, they're actually gay.
Pirates, yeah.
Pirates.
They had like on board marriages that
Really?
were, they were like partnerships on board with their other pirates, but it wasn't like on the land, but their partnerships existed while they were out at sea, and then they could possibly have their own wives back on shore.
You know how, like, if you go to an all-boys school, or, like, you go to a place where you only see one gender, and it might help you discover yourself more, like that. I feel like that happened with, like, the pirates, because, you know the myth of the mermaid, right? Sailors saw walruses, and they got so lovesick, and they got really horny, right? But there were no women, so then after a while, after like a few years at sea, they began to hallucinate, and they saw walruses as really pretty women from far, far away. And then that's how the myth of mermaids began. And I feel like if you haven't seen the touch of a woman in that long, then there are, because like you're born gay, right? So then I feel like
I am.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel
but
like
obviously not everyone is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Though.
You can either like become gay because like you
realize,
or you're like
sexuality.
you're like, yes, I'm on a pirate ship. Yes, there are no women on board. Yes, it's all sexy men.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, obviously you're not saying that just being around men can make you gay.
No, of course not.
But it can help you to it helps you discover yourself.
Yeah, it helps you discover yourself.
So you're born with your sexuality.
Yeah. If you're straight, you're straight. That's why mermaids exist. You know, because if they were horny and they wanted and they were secretly gay, then they would see mermen. That's why mermen exist too. I bet. Oh, I just thought of that. They're like the straights thought of mermaids and the gays thought of mermen.
Yeah. What do you think about okay, you're born with your sexuality, but why do you have to realize your sexuality? Why do you not know it from the off?
Because society.
Because of society.
It's society, man.
So that's why people
because from the get-go, right? People assume you're straight. You don't people don't give birth to a baby and think, oh, I wonder who he'll fall in love with in the future.
No.
You'll think, I wonder what kind of wife he'll find, or what kind of husband she'll find.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just society, and then you have to come out. But in reality, I think people should be more open-minded and let them make their choice. So then it won't really be coming out. It'll just be a realization.
But I mean, I think that about gender as well, because you know they have especially in America they have gender reveal parties, and it really irritates me because obviously last week they caused this massive forest fire because of how they revealed their gender. There was a forest fire, but then also it's assuming that your child is going to identify with that gender. Side note, this bit is re-recorded as the quality was exceptionally bad in the original discussion as her dog was barking. Obviously, when you consider percentages and data, it's more likely that your child will identify with the gender they were assigned at birth, but there is still roughly a 2% chance that your child will identify as intersex. Personally, as an adult, if I have children, I would like to try my best to raise my child gender neutral, because I want them to feel supported, whether they choose to identify as male, female, intersex, gender fluid, genderqueer, or anything else.
See, I never thought of it that way. I just always assumed that gender reveal parties were for the family to finally find out if it had a penis or had a vagina. Not like that, oh, I don't think I'm like a guy. That's how I just thought gender reveal parties were. It was to reveal your genitals. Oh, genital reveal party.
Yeah, but but then the genders are, the genitals are identified with the gender, you know? So it's the penis is a male genital, but then there's transgender people that they don't experience gender dysphoria from their physical attributes,
Yeah, but when you're a baby, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a gender reveal party isn't really a party for the baby, but it's a party for the family.
It's a party for the family.
Yeah, so then...
I mean, obviously they should appreciate their child, whatever gender it is.
Yeah, it should, but and they do. It's just, I think the purpose of a gender reveal, purpose of a gender reveal party is to just reveal what genitals they have.
But then also to celebrate the fact that they have a child.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really celebrating the gender.
I have never seen a gender reveal party where like they pop it and it's like a girl and the guy goes, no! You know,
I've seen a child do that. I've seen a child do that. One of the big brother was like, "No, I don't want a girl. I don't want a sister."
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I screamed.
Yeah. No, that's gonna be so loud. No. That was louder than anything you said like the whole time.
I sound deranged.
Well, you are a bit.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm sorry.
You know? Oh, also, yeah, I mentioned earlier I thought I was bisexual. I'm not. I'm like very gay now, and I know that.
He's a flaming homosexual.
I'm a flaming homosexual. Oh, also, if any of my family are listening to this, obviously my dad, my mum, and my brother, they know. But if any of your other family members are listening, and you find out, yeah, I am gay. You know, I haven't told you because I haven't seen you in 7 years, but yeah, I mean, if you're listening to my podcast, then you should understand that you need to.
Some random person
you need to
just hearing
like
you
accept
come
everyone.
out to your family member through a podcast,
Well,
and a random family. Like, let's say there's a guy driving to work and listening to your podcast, and he suddenly hears you come out to like some unknown family member that he doesn't even know, saying, "Hey, if you're out there," you know, he's just like looking at you.
Well, if you are listening to my
Lord.
family members, then if you're listening to my podcast, you should have that level of acceptance. Where if you're going to accept other people, then you could accept me as your grandson or your, you know.
Exactly.
Like.
Yeah, you better love Robin. Yeah.
You.
Robin's still Robin.
Also, I have a friend. They spoke to me. That we were saying how they're. It's not you. I'm not speaking in code. Their mother said that she supports homosexuality, but she said, "I won't support you if you came out." And I just, you know who it is.
I know who it is.
And that just baffles me. It's just like, if you can support anyone, then why wouldn't you support your daughter? Or your son?
I feel like for those people, I'm not saying it's right, and I don't agree with it at all, but from their perspective, I think they think it's like, oh, well, you do you, I do me. Personally, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And personally, I want my child to have, like, a biological son, biological daughter.
Yeah.
So, and personally, I don't want my daughter to have, like, so much societal hate, and I want my daughter to have a better life. So I would not want my daughter to be homosexual or, you know, like that. I think that's just how they think. But for other people, since they don't care as much about them, they're like, I don't mind, you live your life. But personally, because I care about you so much, I don't want you to be like that. That's what they mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's what they mean, but it's very hurtful when you have a child come out to you and then they say to you, you know, I'd rather you weren't because, you know, it's like, I don't want you to experience that pain, but then you're saying you don't want them to be who they are. Like, they don't have a choice in the matter. You know, they were born that way.
Like that Lady Gaga song.
Yeah.
Which is really, it's a good song. It's like a gay anthem now.
It is. I listen to it on occasion.
Speaking of gay anthems, we move on to like gay culture.
Yeah.
Drag. That's cool.
Do you not have anything to say about it?
No, I don't know anything. Okay, for all you like...
All you queens out there.
No, for all you non-straight people out there, okay? And for all of y'all who don't always, like, listen or, like, follow gay culture. Like, if, for example, you know that, like, thing where they're like, if you're bisexual, you always have to, like, cuff your jeans. I'm not one of those, okay? I look so straight, but I'm not. And I don't really follow gay culture. Like, I listen to, like, gay songs, obviously, but I don't follow drag that much, or I don't know, you know? So I'm just saying, it's okay. You don't have to fit into the gay stereotype. If you're gay, you're gay. If you like drag, you like drag. If you like following gay culture, you do you, but please don't, like, judge people who don't. Not saying that you do, but like there are people out there who's like, what? You're a lesbian and yet you don't have a short haircut? or like something like that, or like
Yeah.
you know how straight people they're like, so who's the guy and who's the girl in the relationship?
That just
like what? That defeats the whole purpose.
that defeats the whole purpose. Like, it's a homosexual couple. They have a top and a bottom. Doesn't mean that one of them's a man acting in a man or a woman's role.
Exactly. You know, I had someone ask me that before. So then I asked them, what do you think I am? And they were like, I think you'd be like the man in the relationship. I'm just like, what? And they're like, yeah, you have like a really masculine energy. So I feel like if you had like a girlfriend, you would like do all the traditionally masculine stuff. And I'm just like, girl, no. Please. Like, I'm really not. Like, I'm the farthest away from it as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's it we have to discuss.
Yeah, it's a free episode. Well, not free, it's all free, but it's a free thing.
Just a free scripted one, so it's not scripted at all. So yeah, we've just been rambling on for 22 minutes now.
I don't think you're gonna get any views. It's just like a really pointless, like, it's just us talking to each other.
Well, you better help promote it with me then.
Alright, well, everyone, if you're listening to this podcast, I don't have to promote it anymore because you already know it exists, don't you?
Yeah, well, thank you for listening to this episode of my podcast. Please subscribe and share it with your family members. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have anything to say, then do leave a voice note or send me a DM on Twitter or tweet me.
Twitter?
Yeah, I think
you
on
have Twitter?
Yeah, or email me or, whatever. Send a voice note in.
Yeah.
You could leave some feedback as well. If you leave a voice note, I'll feature you in the next episode.
Don't contact me, please.
Don't contact.
don't you contact Robin. Never contact me.
I won't. Okay, well, I won't leave I won't leave Ashley's details, so you can't contact her. But
yeah,
we do hope you enjoyed this episode, and also like it if you want Ashley to get back on again.
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah. Let me know if you like Ashley.
I'm a very expensive person. I need a lot of likes.
I'll like bribe her with a meal.